Hey everybody, Matt Barton here with this week's Broker Minute or Two. Today's message is in regards to VA loans. When a veteran is buying a property and some of the requirements on a VA loan. So as a general rule, general statement, Veterans Administration says that their veteran borrowers cannot pay anything for their representation. So, and then we also have the national settlement rules that says we have to have a buyer broker in place to represent a buyer. So there's at least some little conflict there. But I wanted to step through this in the way this should take place. So on screen here, I have our buyer broker agreement, right? And it talks about the duration of the agreement in section 1.1. It talks about where we're going to represent them. And then we eventually get down to the nitty gritty part, which is the brokerage fee in section 2. And in there, of course, you can see I have highlighted in red. Whatever they pay is technically one fee, a brokerage fee in the amount of a dollar amount and a percentage amount. So let's just put in there, for sake of fun, we have the company charges $295 and 2.5%. We're going to use those as our numbers. Okay, so how does this play out in the world of VA? I mean, technically, the veteran can't pay us what is in section 2, right? So what we do to, of course, facilitate that is either in the REPSI in section 4.4, 4.3, 4.4, we specify how much the seller is going to pay on behalf of the buyer, or the other avenue we can use is a broker compensation agreement, which we've talked about so much in the last few months. So I hope I don't have to go over that. So those are the two avenues. The question really just becomes a simple math problem at that point. So if the assumption is we can't be paid more than is here in section 2, and again, $295, right, plus 2.5%. Let's say it was the median sales price of $510,000, right, times 2.5%, 12,750 plus 295. So the total amount is $13,045. So the easiest way to do this is when you send over a brokerage compensation agreement, you say the other brokerage agrees to pay $13,045. That's the easiest way. And if they sign off on it, they send that amount. It's in agreement with our buyer broker agreement, and it's in agreement with the Veterans Administration because the seller is paying for it. Same thing if we were doing this in a REPSI. If we put forth a REPSI and says the seller agrees to pay X to the buyer's brokerage, that amount in this particular case, expecting 2.5% commission plus the $295 per transaction brokerage fee, it would be $13,045. So rather than writing in a percent in the REPSI, just like in the broker compensation agreement, you would just write in the hard number of $13,045. And if that's the case, we're all done. Either way, brokerage compensation agreement or in the REPSI. What we see happen is where it gets frustrating is the agent will have a buyer broker like this that says 2.5% and $295, and then they'll go secure compensation on a broker compensation agreement for only 2.5%. The $295 is no longer there, and we can't make the veteran pay it. And so the company is left eating that $295, which we base those fees on what it takes to keep the doors open, to keep the lights on, to keep our systems in place, and all those things. So coming full circle, if you're doing a VA loan, please make sure you take your percentage amount in section 2.1 and the $295 and figure out what that total amount is based on the property that you are going to be purchasing, and make sure when you're covering your compensation or the company's compensation that you put in the combined amount either in the broker compensation agreement or in the REPSI. I hope that makes sense, because the last thing I want to do is have the agent have to come up with that $295. So I hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions. And if I don't talk to you sooner, have a Merry Christmas.